I'm going to tell a story. Sinbad the Sailor, adopted and simplified from the Arabian Nights. Once upon a time, in the city of Baghdad, there lived a young sailor. His name was Sinbad. He loved adventure. On one of his voyages, his boat smashed into 1,000 pieces. He was alone in the wide, empty sea. He swam across the rough sea till he reached a small island. There was no one there. He climbed a tree and looked around. Far away he saw a huge shining dome. "There must be a mosque over there," he said to himself. He walked very fast towards the dome. When he reached there, he found no door or windows. The whole dome was as white and smooth as an egg. He was puzzled. Suddenly, the sky grew dark. He thought it was a rain cloud. He looked up and saw a huge bird, larger than the biggest cloud he had ever seen. It was a great giant of a bird. It must be the largest bird in the world, thought Sinbad. Then he realized something else. The mosque was the bird's egg. Before he could run away, the bird flew down and sat on its egg. He was a prisoner under its great hot body. The bird's movement made his turban fall off his head. That gave Sinbad an idea. He tied himself to the bird's foot with his turban. He prayed to God for help, and then he fell asleep. When he woke up, the wind was blowing past his ears. He was high above the ground, hanging from the bird's foot. There was nothing between him and the ground but air. Every beat of the bird's great wings was carrying him higher. He looked down and saw the egg. It looked as small as a toy. He shut his eyes in fear and began to pray. Higher and higher they went. The air grew thin and cold. Then the bird began to fly slowly. Sinbad opened his eyes and found himself close to the ground. He undid his turban from its foot and jumped. He fell into a strange, lonely valley. There were no trees, no grass, no water in the valley. There were sharp, black rocks all around. The mountain faces that formed the sides of the valley were steep, rough, and rugged. He was sure that he could never climb them. He knew he would die there, and he was afraid. He cried to God, "O Lord, why did you save me from the sea? Was that death too gentle for me?" Suddenly something moved. It was a snake. He saw many more snakes lying on the hot rocks. One of them began to move towards him. He picked a stone to throw at it, but when he looked at the stone, his mouth fell open in wonder. It was a huge, beautiful diamond, bigger than the biggest diamond he had ever seen. Everywhere he looked, the ground was covered with diamonds and other jewels. "What a place," he said to himself. Just then a large bird flew down and caught one of the snakes in its beak. The other snakes moved away. They were frightened of the big bird. Suddenly, Sinbad heard something heavy fall near him. At first he thought it was one of the birds, and then he realized it was a huge piece of meat. Then he understood what was happening. The merchants living close by wanted the diamonds, but they were afraid of the snakes. They threw large pieces of meat into the valley. Some of the diamonds stuck to the meat. The large birds loved meat. They picked up the pieces of meat along with the diamonds and carried them out of that horrible place. Sinbad thought of a way to escape. He filled his pockets with diamonds, then took a large piece of meat in both hands and then held it up. One of the birds flew down, picked up the piece of meat and flew with it, and Sinbad towards its nest where its baby was waiting. The bird began to tear up the meat to feed its baby. Sinbad was scared that it might tear him up too. He did not know what to do. Suddenly he heard shouts. Stones flew into the nest. One hit the bird. It dropped the meat and flew away. A face peered at him over the edge of the nest. "There are no diamonds in this nest, my friend," Sinbad said to the man. The stranger was too surprised to answer. "Forgive me," he went on. "I do not want to frighten you. Just help me to get out of here. I have many beautiful diamonds in my pockets. I shall be glad to give you half of them." The man helped Sinbad down from the bird's nest. He gave him clean clothes and good food and also helped him sell the diamonds. Sinbad was now a rich man. He bought 6 beautiful ships and sailed for home. Thank you.